Peace and good evening, everyone. It's good to see a big crowd for us this evening, and welcome Amir and Adarsh visiting us. Glad to have you with us. And as Toastmaster, I think the first item to do is to review our agenda. So if we could, each person that has an assigned role could please go over it, and we can start with our table topics, which I believe is Caleb.
Thank you, David. My role as table topics master for this evening will be to pose several questions to try to engage and or have everyone be engaged in really short, off-the-cuff responses to really emphasize speaking quickly and effectively. That is my role for the evening, and back to you, David.
Thank you, Caleb. And moving on, could we have the role of our general evaluator, which I believe is Maurice?
Yes, David. As general evaluator, I will give the evaluation for the meeting as a whole, and I will also introduce each evaluator to give their report, such as a timer. And if there are speech evaluators, they can give their reports. Also, the all counter and grammarian. And that is my role as general evaluator for tonight. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Maurice. And moving on within the evaluations, we'll have sub reports, I guess you could call them. And we could start with our timer. If you could give us your role, which I believe is Donovan.
Yes, thank you, David. My role for this evening is the timer. The timer for Toastmasters is technically helping to stay in meet of the times in three different sections. We'll be in the prepared speeches, the two topics, and the evaluation portion. The timetable for the prepared speech is 5 to 7 minutes. So I developed a method of keep track of the time color-wise. So for 5 minutes for prepared speech will be this green book. For the 6-minute mark, you'll see this orange book, orange Harry Potter book. And when you see the 7 minute, the 7 minutes would be this web book. For the table topics, it's the same method, but I'll still go through it again since we have two new people. So, table topics would be 1 to 2 minutes. So, green would be for 1 minute. Orange would be for 1 minute and 30 seconds. And at the 2-minute mark would be red. So the evaluation timetable will be 2 minutes to 3 minutes. The green for 2 minutes. Orange for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And red for 3 minutes. That's basically the timer's report for the evening. Back to the Toastmaster for the evening. David?
Thank you, Donovan. And moving on, could we have our role of all counter explained, please? I believe that is Carrie.
Good evening. I am your counter. My role is to look for pillars words such as well something like this. And by the way, I finally remember the word pillar words. I always confuse pillar words or filling words. again, English is not my native tongue. I finally remembered Pillar's word. Back to you.
Thank you, Carrie, for the all counters report. And moving on, if we could have a report of the grammarian, which I believe Amir has agreed to do for us this evening.
Thanks, David. Good evening, everyone. My role as grammarian is purpose of grammarian is to monitor the correct use of the English language and to make sure that we're using the word of the day. Back to you, David.
Very good. Thank you, Amir. And I think that covers all of our roles for this evening. So moving on, we can go ahead and begin with our first speaker. I don't think we had an evaluator assigned, but as Ardash suggested, we could just do a round robin and just if anyone would like to comment on his speech afterwards or during the evaluation period, we could do that. So welcome to our Hilltoppers Toastmasters group, Ardish. And I see if you wanted to tell us a little bit about yourself before your speech, that's fine as well. But your speech I see is a title, Don't Make Assumptions, and it's from Effective Coaching, number 3 or level 3, Know Your Sense of Humor. So thank you for being with us, Ardash, and all you.
Respected timer, you can start. How many of you have not made any assumptions in your life? Never made assumptions. Okay, I see a nod of head saying no. Yes, most of us are contagious and addicted to making assumptions. A wise person once said, don't make assumptions. When you make assumptions, you make an ass out of you and me. Assumption, ass out of you and me. Assumptions, it is still contagious, it's spread all around. It's very hard to get over. There had been a few experiences in my life that I thought, yes, that saying is true. Don't make assumptions. It's very troublesome and dangerous in relationships also. Married people, currently having relationship people, etc. Before joining Toastmasters, I was an introvert, a very shy, quiet, dull person who did not even have a smile. Because I was not having a smile, the people in college, especially the ladies, they used to make comment, Adarsh is not having a girlfriend. That is why he is not having a smile. That was one statement. And another statement was Arthur's girlfriend must have rejected him. I kept silent because when people make assumptions about us, the bad thing is if we go and keep correcting them or try to correct them, we will only waste our energy. So I stopped responding to them. I kept quiet. I am also a perfume addict. Does not mean like an alcohol addict. I am fascinated and enthusiastic about perfumes. And in 2009, I started collecting perfumes, and currently I'm having 64 perfumes in my collection. 64. And seeing this much number of perfumes in my collection, a few ladies, they commented, Adarsh, we understand why you are doing this. You are not having a girlfriend, so you are doing all these things to put on all the perfumes and sprays to get lady attention and get girlfriends, attract the ladies, which was again false. I'm wearing that because I want to be confident. It gives me confidence. It has given me confidence. Has anyone seen this Toastmaster joke? It was there in the Toastmaster magazine. A husband who lies on the in the bed in the night before at the time of sleep. A husband, he is sleeping and turning towards the right. The wife is turning towards the left. In that, the wife is thinking. The husband is looking towards that side, and he's not sleeping yet. And the wife is thinking, he must be thinking about some other girlfriends or some other women in his life. And at the same time, at the husband's point of view, it was written, oh my God, I am having a Toastmaster speech to give at 6 o'clock in the morning. I have not even prepared what is the speech title, what am I going to speak about. So this is life. People, they make assumptions like anything. Before joining Toastmasters, I was a shy introvert. I did not have smile, always a dull, reactionless face. After 3 weeks of Toastmasters, I started gaining confidence. I felt great, and I thought to attend Toastmasters meetings regularly. I attended Toastmasters meetings 3 weeks in a row, the offline Toastmasters meetings. My mother, she was curious and she wondered, Adarsh, you generally don't even speak to people, you don't even smile at people. Tell me the truth. Aren't you attending the Toastmasters event because you have a lady love or lady partner in that venue and you are going to meet her? Tell me the truth, others. Tell me the truth. And all these things, oh God, I thought Toastmasters, it was a wonderful platform. I started collaborating with people, I started becoming happy, and I'm getting negative comments and reviews. When I started delivering a lot of Toastmasters speeches, one day, it was on April 4th, I completed level 1 of effective coaching in just one day. 5 speeches in one day. And then in May 10th and 11th, on May 10th and 11th, I delivered 11 prepared speeches in 2 days. Then in another day, I delivered 8 prepared speeches in one day. When I posted these pictures of the speech completions in Facebook, I received a question, another question. Adarsh, are you short-lived? The people, they misunderstood me and they assumed Adarsh is going to die soon, so he's completing everything soon so that he don't have anything pending in life. So thank you, dears. My message to you is don't assume, ask questions. Don't assume, just ask questions.
Beautiful. Are we going to wait
Thank-
for the evaluation portion to evaluate him?
Uh,
Yes.
Sure, we could wait and do it under the evaluation if y'all would like.
Okay. Sounds
Um,
good to me. Beautiful.
Thank you, Art. Definitely. Thank you, Ardash. That was quite enlightening. I love the thought about assumptions and how that can create so many communication issues, and I thought you described that well. and I look forward to discussing it more during our evaluation period. So thank you very much for speaking for us this evening. So moving on, we will now start our table topics session, and our table topics master for this evening is Caleb. So thank you, Caleb, and it's all yours.
Thank you, David. I want to say that I also thought the speech was very interesting, and that the "don't assume or you'll make an ass of you and me" is one of my favorite sayings. I use it all the time in science. To kick off table topics, though, I'd like to start with questions on the topic of collaboration, and I'll take one from the top of a list that I just generated. And one that seems fun is let me find it. In what ways can competition within a team affect collaboration? So you can have a team that you're collaborating with, but do you think competition within that team is helpful, or do you think it harms collaboration overall?
I'll answer that one unless someone else has
All right,
anything else.
all right, Olivia, it's all yours.
Okay, let me go make sure I have working together collaboration. Okay, thank you. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. The question is, do I think collaboration affects teamwork? Am I correct, table topics master?
Competition within collaboration. So you have someone you're
Okay.
collaborating with, right?
Can you have competition in collaboration? Well, the first thing that came to mind is the cooking shows that I used to watch on television, or sometimes even on HGTV. You will see the shows where teams get together and do a remodel or a design or redesign of a home. And until it gets to the final round, the teams may work together. However, they eventually have to break off. So if I had to answer that question in a yes or no, negative or affirmative answer, then the answer would be no, a negative. You cannot, in my opinion, be collaborating and then be competing against each other, because at some point, or in the back of my mind, I'm always going to be, and I am highly competitive. I do consider myself great to work with others. I am a people's person, so it is not hard for me to work in small or large groups. However, when you tell me it's a competition, game is on. And I'm friendly. I don't do anything underhanded, but I am all about winning. So, in my opinion, once it is a true competition, then it's going to be hard for me to collaborate with the people that I'm competing against. Back to you, table topics master.
Thank you, Olivia. I believe that I'm in agreement with you that once you add competition to the mix, it becomes really hard to truly be collaborative, especially if you're competing against who you're collaborating or who you're competing with. My second question for the group, and since we're on Zoom and doing everything virtual, and a lot of people are still doing virtual meetings, the question is, how do you think remote work has affected team collaboration and cohesion? Any takers?
All right, Caleb, I'll try it. Okay, run that question one more time.
Sure. How do you think remote work has affected team collaboration and cohesion?
All right, thank you. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guest, stop, collaborate, and listen. No, just kidding.
Maurice, you are having way too much fun. I love it. I love it.
But how does remote working or working remotely affect, how does it affect team collaboration and working together? I've heard stories on both ends. I've heard that some people can work more effectively from remotely, especially during this past pandemic period when this was more common. And then I also heard that it's counterproductive. You know, it allows people to slack off more. So my answer to that, in the spirit of collaboration, is it depends on the worker. It depends on their motivation at the place of business. If that person is really dedicated to the business, then they will have less of a problem being productive working remotely. But I would tend to say, I'm not going to necessarily say majority, but maybe a plurality of workers will be more counterproductive working remotely overall. Back to you, Topics Master.
Thank you, Maurice. I know that's still a hot question, especially in tech and IT, and really in the IT sector. I have a lot of friends who do virtual work, and they all work from home, and they love it, including my sister and her husband. And I think if they were forced to come into an office, they'd just quit on the spot. So it's interesting. My third question for the group: do you prefer group work or would you rather work alone? Keep something simple.
I can try to answer.
All right, Amir, hand it off to you.
So the question was, do I prefer group work or working alone? Is that correct? I prefer working in groups because I believe that working in groups helps you with further ideas. It also helps you with balancing ideas, I should say. One example that I can think of is my current job as an engineer. Working in a team environment has allowed me to effectively do my job better, as opposed to working in silence or working alone. Whenever I work alone, I sometimes question my intelligence, but if I can work in a group, I can get the answer a little bit more quicker. And I think collaboration is the best way whenever you're doing a harder project. So I think working in a group is the best way to work in a group. Back to you, Tabletop Master.
Thank you, Amir. As someone who's also in a STEM field, I don't think I could do the work that I do without having a good team to collaborate with. When I came down to Alabama, I was working by myself for about 6 months. And that was a terrible time because I had no one to talk with or bounce ideas off, and it got really boring around the lab. For my next question, what is an example of a project that you could only have completed by collaborating with a group?
I'm
I
sorry,
can
can you
give it a
say the
try.
question again?
Oh, I can say it again and also say it for David as well. What is an instance of something that you could only have accomplished by collaborating with a group?
Sure, I'll give it a try, Caleb. Um,
Thank
so
you.
it, and thank you for collaborating this Table Topics event. As far as a project that I've worked on or that I've done that could only be done by collaborating with other people, the uh, like Maurice and I presume Amir, I'm also an engineer. and I'm a civil engineer. I worked for the Alabama Department of Transportation for almost 30 years. And the biggest project that I did was State Route 158 and I-65. That's a giant interchange that we modified and made a lot of changes to. And so I was in charge of developing the overall set of plans for that. And a project of that size is much more complicated than people would think. It's not just putting down some asphalt or adding a lane. You have utilities to deal with, you have right of way to purchase, you have all kinds of traffic control issues to do, and there's also bridges that we were widening. There were so many areas to work with that I had some general knowledge, but I did not have the expertise to do all these things. And even if I did, I wouldn't have had the time. This particular project, there was a total of 700 plan sheets and about 400 pay items. Every single item on our project is paid for separately. And a project of this complexity, it took probably 20 or 30 people working on it for a period of over a year. And so as we all collaborated, it worked out very well. And each of us were able to use our own area of expertise to put for our input. And I was able to, by communicating with everyone, make sure everything got done. But that would be an example of a project that no one could have done on their own, or maybe there's some genius out there that could have, but no one I know could have. And so collaboration is a critical part of engineering, and I know other fields as well. So that's my answer. Thank you, and back to you, Caleb.
Thank you, David. How are we doing on time? Do we have time for more? Or?
Well, it's 7:06, so it'd be time to wrap it up. I mean, you could do one more if you want to, but otherwise it's time to wrap it up.
Okay, we can wrap it up, and I can pass over the lectern back to the Toastmaster this evening.
Sure. Thank you, Caleb, and thank everyone for participating. Table topics is a great way to just practice an off-the-cuff speech or just practice communication skills, which is what Toastmasters is all about, and that's what I love about it. We can just practice and get better. So moving on to our next section will be our evaluation section of the meeting, and Maurice is our general evaluator, so I will turn the meeting over to Maurice.
All right. Thanks, David. Do we have any volunteers to just give a critique or their opinion on Adarsh's speech? And we'll just open up. I mean, you could do it for 30 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds. You don't have to do it for the 2 to 3 minutes.
I can make a quick comment. Oh, unless
I will
Carrie,
next.
okay. I just wanted to say, Adarsh, as you were doing your speech, and even at moments where you were adjusting the camera, you maintained your flow of the speech throughout. You didn't stop. You didn't get flustered. And when I've given presentations where something has not been working or something wasn't cooperating, maintaining that flow, even when things aren't going properly, is extremely difficult. And I thought it was very impressive. That was my critique.
All right, thank you. Is there another one who would like to give comments on Adarsh's speech?
Yes, I'll go next.
Yes.
Good evening, Adarsh. And my evaluation of your speech was that it was very good. I like the way you asked a question at the very beginning. So that always, in my opinion, catches the attention of your audience, because no one wants to be the one that can't answer the question, So it's like, oh crap. Even if I wasn't paying attention, I got to pay attention now, because suppose the speaker may ask another question. I don't want to be the one that's not listening. So it immediately catches the attention of your audience. Then I liked how you bought some. Well, first off, 64 fragrances. Now, I thought I have a lot. I have maybe 15 or 20, but 64, wow, that's a lot. but I do love fragrances as well. Then I like the way you said that your mom questioned you, so that was humorous. And that was a very legitimate question too. Like, tell me, what are you really doing? What's really going on? So that made it interesting. And I liked how it all had a meaning, and that was just don't make assumptions. And that's so true. When we make assumptions, we 9 times out of 10, our assumption is far from what it is. Sometimes we can have a spirit of being able to properly assume, but sometimes not. So I think your speech was wonderful, and I enjoyed it, and I hope to hear more from you. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Olivia. If there is no one else who would like to give their comments, we'll move on to the timers report, and that is Donovan.
Yes. So tonight's timers report, I'm gonna start with the first speech. I calculated 7 minutes and 19 seconds. For the table topics, it was, so for David's was 1 minute and 18 seconds. For Maurice's table topic was 1 minute and 46 seconds. Emil's was 55 seconds. And Olivia's was 1 minute and 45 seconds. So I have to apologize to David, I didn't start the time a little later than I was expecting, because I was reading a message that someone wrote on the screen, so that's why it's a little that's why it's 1 minute and 18 seconds. Back to you.
All right, thanks. Next, we'll have the all counters report with Carrie.
Good evening again. Overall, all the speakers really pay attention to the filler words. And otherwise, I didn't really detect any big filler words. It's kind of filler words or not, but it's not clear filler words. That's very good. So let's start. Dash, thank you so much for your speech. I didn't detect it. Olivia, you did very well. I didn't hear any filler words. Maurice, same. I didn't hear anything. Amir, you did also very well. It's kind of easy or not sometimes, but not a very clear one. You did very well. Thank you. And the last one, David, you did very well too. I didn't hear any filler words. Thank you too. Back to you.
All right, thanks. And last but not least, we'll have the grammarian's report with Amir.
Thank you, Maurice. As far as the grammarian report, Ardesh, I really enjoyed your speech. You used the correct definition of collaborate with your speech. Don't make assumptions. And I didn't see any errors in the English language. As far as Olivia, you also use collaborate in the correct context and no errors in the English language. Maurice used the same thing, the correct use of collaborate and correct use of the English language. And David, you also used the correct use of the word collaborate. You had no errors in the English language. So thank you, Maurice.
All right. All right. For the general evaluation of the meeting as a whole, we took a 5-minute recess from 6:30 to 6:35. Got started basically at 6:35. Everyone who's here tonight tuned in by 6:35, and the meeting went smoothly and had a good speech by Ardarsh, and then a good table topic session with the theme of working together and the word of the day, collaborate. And that is my general evaluation of the meeting as a whole. And now at this time, I will relinquish the lectern and hand it back over to David, the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Maurice, for that evaluation of our meeting, and thank everyone for participating in the evaluation portion. I'll just quickly add to, about Ardish's speech that I could relate to a lot of the things you talked about as well. I was known to be a very shy and introverted person. That probably has something to do with me becoming an engineer, because I loved just kind of being on by myself and working on things, but also like being with people. I think collaboration is important. But I think I could really relate to how you talked about how Toastmasters was has been a transforming experience, and going to many meetings and meeting people and just getting out and learning what things are all about. Because while it wasn't Toastmasters, I've had experiences earlier in my life where such things have happened to me, and I have really grown from them. So I think that's something to really be admired. So thank you. And thank everyone again for participating. And I don't guess we have an educational overview this evening, do we? No.
No.
And don't think we have any awards. So I will turn the meeting back over to our president, Maurice.
All right, thanks, David. And at this time, we've had a good meeting. And thanks to the guest speaker, Ardarsh. And thank you again, Amir, for paying a visit to us. And I enjoyed the meeting, and as well as most of you also. And let's just keep working together, keep collaborating, so we could have good meetings week after week after week. Thank you.